and rollers. Rock and roll! This is the ElectroJet Rock Show. We are doing the 40th ElectroJet Rock Show. Great or not so great? I'm your host, Jett, and I have with me on the other line, coming to you from LA, the Professor.
Welcome, welcome. How's it going, rockers? Welcome to episode 40 of our show. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We really need your support. And share us if you can on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we're just putting in our 2 cents because there's a lot of this kind of content out there, but we do have a bit of a unique perspective from growing up in LA in the 70s, Hollywood adjacent. And I got to hand it to the KISS Army out there. You guys have really launched the show pretty well compared to where it was before. So props to the mighty KISS Army. Yeah, we really love all the comments that you guys have been putting up. KISS fans, yeah. I mean, when Paul and Gene say that the KISS fans are the greatest fans in the world, we're definitely seeing that. You guys are really passionate. So thanks for all the clicks and all the comments. So yeah, Gene Simmons. I'm a big Gene Simmons fan. I think his musicianship is very underrated. We'll get into that a little more in a second. What do you think, Professor?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big Gene Simmons fan. You know, I saw KISS on the, what was it, Jett? On the Love Gun Tour?
It was the Love Gun Tour, which they made a live 2 out of.
And then I saw him on Animalize also with Eric Carr. So I got to see, 2 very different KISS concerts live. Both great, both very different. And I just like Gene Simmons, man. I think he's a rags to riches story, true Americana story. He's an idea guy. He's an entrepreneur. I think he's a great underrated bass player.
Oh, his bass playing is great. Yeah,
he's got, does a lot of different kind of walking stuff. He uses the whole neck. Lots of 12th fret, accents and a lot of slides and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of glissandos.
Right, exactly. I'm not a big fan of the Gibson basses that he uses, but he does get a good sound. He used the SVTs, Ampeg SVTs early on, which is one of my favorite amps. But yeah, he had a great sound and great sense of style. Not particularly my style, but, I liked it for him, that whole, kind of goth, thing that he had going.
The demon
thing. And great baritone voice. Doesn't always show it, but he's got some interesting variety that he can do with his voice, when he's not doing his usual kind of stereotypical style. He can also kind of do some kind of good crooning and stuff, and like him on a lot of different songs. The songs that he had a lot of hand in doing, like Deuce and Shout It Out Loud and Strutter and Rock and Roll All Night. His vocals on that are great. I do probably like Paul's songwriting a little bit better, but, Gene also had some good stuff too. So really big fan of Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
How about you, Jett?
Yeah, there was one song that I never used to really listen to on Destroyer too much. It's a Gene song called Sweet Pain. And it came on YouTube the other day, and it really shocked me how great the chord progression is at the beginning, the chord sequence. Those chords at the beginning, that is friggin' brilliant, man. So I think I got to give Gene props for that. Yeah, his composition is great. His bass parts in KISS are great. He may not have come up with 100% of them, but maybe 80 or 90% of them. Yeah, he's a real rock and roll bass player. His favorite bass player, actually, one of them is Ronnie Wood when he was in Jeff Beck's band. Something I need to look into. I'm a fan of bass players, but he always did like the rock and roll kind of bass thing really well, like the walking bass, as the Professor previously mentioned. Like I cannot imagine rock and roll all night and party every day without that descending walking bass line.
Absolutely.
And I did see Poison playing. We used to see him play a lot at the Reseda Country Club. We'll do a whole show on them. but they played Rock and Roll All Night, and the bass player, Bobby, he did not do the walking thing, man. I mean, it's just not the same. Yeah, Gene Simmons, very signature bass playing, and his singing, he's got the kind of thing going, you know. Not a lot of range, but his voice is held up really well because, as you guys know, he's a teetotaler. No drugs, no smoking, no drinking. So his voice is still pretty much the same as it's always been. So for Gene Simmons, I got to say great.
Yeah, I got to say great also. Again, you know, just to throw in also, he has a song on Songs of the Elder called A World Without Heroes, whereas you can really see some other sides to his vocals. And I also like the bass on I Was Made for Loving You, where he can do that. He kind of does the disco style.
Oh, he hates that.
Yeah, and then also even on Beth, you know, subtle stuff, but just, you know, real great bass playing. And also he has a really great sense of business and media. I think, you know, when he was really young, he worked at Vogue magazine as a gopher. And I think he learned a lot about media at that time. And again, I'm sure everybody knows he was the one who was going to all those business meetings when Kiss was, you know, was kind of small time in negotiating for, not small time, but before they were really massive. And he was the one, you know, pushing for lunch boxes and T-shirts and, you know, toys and all that stuff. You know, that was a big deal. That was huge money for them. And it also helped to, you know, kind of spread their name around, keeping their brand out there. So definitely got to give it up to Gene Simmons. Absolutely great.
Yeah, one thing, closing thing I want to put in, another thing about his bass parts and his bass playing, besides the Ronnie Wood thing, which I'm not too familiar with, is definitely a lot of Paul McCartney in his bass playing too. So I got to give Gene props for that. So definitely great. So, Professor, you said great?
I want to add anything that I can add to what he said.
I say great.
Well, and there you have it. Props to the KISS Army. Please like and subscribe and share our content. And this is Jett signing off with
The Professor and
Rock and Roll!
Rock and Roll!